Let me ask you something. What is the one ability in Jujutsu Kaisen that no one can dare to challenge? Not Gojo's Infinity. Infinity has been bypassed before. The prison realm found a loophole. Mahoraga adapted to it. And you know the rest. Not Sukuna's technique. Cleave and dismantle are devastating, don't get me wrong. But Sukuna has been hurt. Accumulated damage across multiple opponents wore him down in Shinjuku. Every ceiling in this series has a crack in it. Every single one. Except one actually. Angel's technique Nullification. The ability to cancel any cursed technique, any domain, any barrier, any cursed object, regardless of how powerful it is. Regardless of who's using it. Doesn't matter if you're Gojo or Ryumen Sukuna. Angel's Jacob ladder busts your shit up. And when I sat in my room thinking about it, like the jobless man that I am, I was like, what does a sorcerer look like who was specifically built to survive that? I did. I wasn't trying to create the strongest character in JJK history. I was trying to answer one question. What does a structural answer to technique nullification actually look like within the series' own rules? And somewhere in the middle of answering that question, I accidentally built someone who had no exploitable weaknesses left. This is Miyo, and I need to explain how this happened. And for the ones that are going to say I forgot about Moji no Yuji, just watch the whole thing and you'll get it. The Heian Era. If you know Jujutsu Kaisen, you know what that means. The Golden Age, the era where powerful sorcerers were so common that what would be considered a special grade today was just another fighter back then. Miyo was born at the end of it. Not Sukuna's generation, the generation after. She arrived when the greatest teachers were already gone, when the strongest techniques were becoming legends instead of living knowledge. She was the strongest sorcerer of her generation, and her generation had already missed the best parts. That's her dilemma. She arrived too late, so she spent the next 1,000 years making sure she never missed anything again. Every sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen is born with an innate technique etched into their soul. It doesn't change. The Gojo clan's Limitless. The Zenin clan's Ten Shadows. Same technique from birth to death. Miyo's innate technique is called Trace. You already know cursed energy leaves marks on everything it touches. When a technique is used, it leaves a residual, a footprint. Experienced sorcerers can read those footprints. Miyo doesn't just read them. She absorbs them, permanently. Not copying. She can't reproduce what she absorbs. What Trace does is simpler and more dangerous than copying. Her cursed energy learns the pattern of every technique it encounters, and once it learns, it never forgets. But here's where the crazy shit starts. Trace doesn't just affect her cursed energy, it affects her soul. The series is clear about this. The soul is the blueprint, the body is the printout. But the series also shows us that the soul isn't completely static. Techniques can evolve. What a sorcerer does with their cursed energy over time leaves marks, not just on their body, but on the blueprint underneath it. Miyo has been absorbing technique patterns for decades. Every technique she absorbed left a permanent mark on her soul. Not damage, an addition actually, a new layer written on top of the original blueprints. After decades of this, Miyo's soul stopped behaving like a normal human soul. Like Master Sengen innate technique is immortality. It prevents natural death but causes the body to evolve past human form over centuries as a side effect. Their bodies simply outgrew the rules that govern human existence. Miyo's technique did the same thing through a completely different path. Tengen evolved through their immortality technique. Miyo evolved through absorption. After enough centuries of Trace permanently rewriting her soul stopped being human enough for human death to apply to it. Her body still gets injured, still gets destroyed sometimes, and every time it does, reverse curse technique rebuilds it, because her soul is still there, still providing the blueprint, still telling her body what shape it should be. But old age? Natural death? Those things require a human soul following human rules. Miyo's soul stopped following those rules ages ago. So now you understand what Trace does to her soul. But let's talk about what it does in a fight. Because this is where people are going to say, wait, isn't this just Mahoraga? And I get it, Mahoraga adapts to techniques after being hit by them. Miyo absorbs technique patterns after encountering them. On the surface, they sound similar. But here's the difference. Mahoraga adapts reactively. It has to be hit first. Every adaptation cycle requires taking a full hit, processing the damage, and then adjusting for the next exchange. That is why it took multiple domain expansions and multiple hits before Mahoraga adapted to Infinity. The process is slow. It requires surviving repeated contact. Miyo doesn't wait to be hit. Trace reads the cursed energy output of a technique the moment it is being formed, before it lands. Her cursed energy has absorbed enough patterns across 1,000 years that it already recognizes almost everything the Jujutsu world has ever produced, and knows how to deal with it before the attack even lands. She's not adapting in real time. She's already done adapting 1,000 years ago. The gap between Mahoraga and Miyo is the gap between someone learning to swim by drowning repeatedly and someone who already knows every move before they enter the water. And here's the thing about Trace that took me the longest to figure out when I was building her. Her cursed energy doesn't operate on a single coherent frequency. Think of it like a phone signal. Every sorcerer's cursed energy broadcasts on one specific frequency, one clear signal. Gojo's Limitless, one frequency. Sukuna's Shrine, one frequency. Angel's technique Nullification works like a signal jammer. It finds your frequency and shuts it down. Doesn't matter how strong the signal is. Find the frequency and kill it. That is why it reaches everyone. Every sorcerer is broadcasting one clean signal, and the jammer that can find any frequency will always find one clean signal. Miyo doesn't broadcast one signal. She broadcasts hundreds simultaneously. Every technique pattern she's absorbed across 1,000 years is running inside her cursed energy output at the same time. Not one clear frequency. Hundreds of partial overlapping signals. None of them complete enough on their own to be the thing the jammer locks onto. Think of trying to jam a radio station that is broadcasting on 1,000 frequencies at once. The jammer needs something clean to target. One signal, one frequency, one technique. Miyo doesn't give it one. Jacob's ladder still hits her physically. The light itself causes damage. She's not untouchable. But the nullification components, the parts that makes Jacob's ladder the most dangerous technique in the series, needs a clean signal to cancel. Miyo's output is pure noise, and you can't nullify noise. So, Modular Yuji, the strongest sorcerer alive. 83 years of mastering everything the Jujutsu world ever produced. The man who surpassed Gojo, who hits Black Flash at will. Miyo has been doing the same thing for over 1,000 years. She didn't master the Jujutsu world. She absorbed the whole thing. So you do the math. But here's the real question. What if the technique she faces is overwhelming? Something she has never encountered before. Something so unprecedented that her long time of absorption means nothing against it, because that window exists. The first time Miyo faces something completely new, something with no historical residual she's ever read, she's exposed. The technique lands at full force before her cursed energy recognizes what it's dealing with. Against Gojo's Hollow Purple, she's never felt that specific convergence of blue and red at full output. She gets hits, she dies, briefly. And then Reverse Curse Technique rebuilds her. Not activated after damage, it is running continuously before it. Her soul after 1,000 years of absorption is so dense and so layered that Reverse Curse Technique has more blueprint to work from than any sorcerer who has ever lived. The rebuild is faster, more complete. She doesn't survive by being tough enough to take the hit. She survives by rebuilding faster than the damage can finish the job. And the moment she survives one hit, Trace absorbs it permanently. The second exchange is completely different than the first hit. The first hit lands, the second one doesn't, and if she reaches her domain before that first hit kills her, it's already over. Every pattern she has ever absorbed activates simultaneously. The enemy's technique doesn't stop, it just stops making sense, buried under 1,000 years of cursed information. Their technique simply becomes noise, and you can't fight through noise. Listen, I wasn't trying to build the strongest character in Jujutsu Kaisen history. I was trying to answer that one question. And the answer turned out to be someone who absorbs everything, survives everything, and wins by making your most powerful technique means nothing the second time you use it. That is Miyo, the goddess of all sorcerers.